Yeah! Here we go!
It's time for TSS Fantasy.
It is Commissioner Cooper.
Hold on. That's a big balls move. Do you want your title?
Happy Sunday. Happy early morning trash football game.
Yes! We're back, baby! Let's go!
Feud with Aaron Rodgers. I almost got banned off TikTok for the things I said.
Repaired MCL sprain in his knee. He has had some nagging hamstring issues over the years.
D. Lots of fun words start with D, like bye weeks.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is Commissioner Cooper, and it's time for TSS Fantasy. Oh, you're on mute. If you said yeah.
It's a whole lot of stuff going on over here. My internet's trying to catch up. Yeah!
Nice. All right. Well, we are ready and for this breakdown tonight. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I know I did. A lot of interesting results coming out of football, of course, which I am like literally it's the holiday massacre. I'm 0-4 for my holiday picks so far. I mean, that's just how crazy it's been. Let's get things started, though, tonight. We're going to pay the bills, of course. If you're watching on YouTube, do us a solid. Give us a like. Throw your comments. If you got any fantasy questions, throw those in there. And, of course, subscribe to the channel. Little things stopping you from doing it. Big things popping for us when you do. So we always appreciate that. If you're looking for some championship bling for your fantasy champion, look no further than Pro-Am Belts. And, of course, if you're playing some daily fantasy this weekend, go to the Fast Strap app, use the promo code TSS. We'll double that deposit up to $50. No better way to make some money. And then wake up with us on Sunday morning because we're going to give you some DFS lineups to throw in there and make some money off the money you just made by using our promo code. You can't beat that. Let's get our introduction started. We only got one to make, so it'll be quick. Justin Jesus Herrera, welcome into the studio, sir.
Yep, and I didn't get to say this before, but I am thankful for the show. I'm thankful for everybody on the show, and I am thankful for the fans that tune in for the Friday podcast, because those are the true ones, because Sunday is a ball, man. But when these Friday ones come out, sometimes it's a grind, and you're here with us, and we appreciate the hell out of you.
It's a grind for us indeed. It started tonight. I will do also echo those sentiments. I forgot to ask everyone what they were thankful for, although our show was last week, so it's kind of hard to get in a Thanksgiving mood. But I agree. I am thankful for all of you who join us, of course, and thankful for my podcast hosts as well. Make things fun, to say the least. All right, well, Doc right now is not in the building, so we don't have any injury updates to give you. Maybe he'll come in at a little later. Hello to you, Roger. Appreciate you joining us tonight. So let's get things started and talk about the games we just watched with a little news.
Breaking news. The boys from TSS Fantasy still don't know what the hell they are talking about.
Yep, still don't know what the hell we're talking about. Quantum Recordings, hello to you as well. All right, well, let's start with what we just watched. Just got over a little while ago. The Chicago Bears upsetting the champion Philadelphia Eagles 24-15. Not a lot of huge fantasy stats in this one. Might have been a weather played a little bit of a factor in this, but of course, Kyle Monangai was the big winner on the Bears side. Well, I shouldn't even say big winner because DeAndre Swift put in a big game as well. It was definitely the running game with the Bears. 130 yards from Monangai with a touchdown. Swift, 125 yards and a touchdown. So it was all running game all day. Cole Kmet got the touchdown from Caleb Williams with 36 yards. He only had 154 yards and a TD, but they were running the ball so well against the Eagles Did not really need to. Jalen Hurts, 230, 2 TDs. He had the pick as well and ran for 31 yards. So not a horrible day for him fantasy-wise. Saquon Barkley, only 56 yards on the ground. Crazy. And then A.J. Brown, big winner today. 10 receptions, 132 yards, and 2 TDs on 12 targets. So he had a nice day for you as well. But what were your thoughts, my friend, on this Eagles debacle, unfortunately? What'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it in the chat that we have earlier. Like, this defense is kind of just falling apart. And I'll echo this sentiment. I said it a little while back. The Eagles need to get to a point where they have, like, scheme. Like, they don't have a real scheme behind their defense. A lot of their defense is just beat the other guy next to you or beat the guy across from you. You know what I mean? And that works with really talented players. Quinion Mitchell locked up Rome Odunze today. But guess what? Rome Odunze wasn't a part of the scheme because Ben Johnson realized, hey, if I can kick these guys in the mouth, then they might roll over. And guess what they did? They rolled over to the tune of 100 yards for both Swift and Monangai. Like, when you have 200-yard runners in a game, that is a major problem for a defensive line that was supposed to be the most dominant one going into the season. I mean, they have every piece that they need. They even got Jalen Phillips from America's team to be a pass rusher. And what's going on? Like, it's falling apart at the seams. And it's funny. You guys were talking about how you can't fire Sirianni off of a Super Bowl and an 8-3 start or an 8-4 start now. Sure you can. When your team is not responding, when you can lose the locker room while having a winning record too. It's called not having respect for a coach. I don't think anybody has respect for this guy when Jalen Hurts last year had to come get him off the field because he was acting like a child. Like, listen, there's so many ways you can look at this game. I look at it simply from the fact that this team is the boiled chicken of the NFL. Sure, it's great sustenance. It's always going to be there. It's reliable, but there's just no flavor to it. The coordinators, I don't know their names, and I don't think I'll have to because I don't think they'll be there next year. The offensive coordinator, he literally has fucked up the tush push. and the defensive coordinator's over there going, hey, Quinion, can you lock up the other wide receiver? He's like, yeah. He's like, what are the other 10 players going to do? Oh, we'll figure that one out. They can't find a second corner, and they don't have a linebacker who can cover tight ends. Nick Bond, they gave him all this money. He hasn't looked like an amazing addition to this team. Jalen Carter, who was supposed to be the stud, the most impact he's made is that spitting incident at this point. So this is just a fundamental thing where you look at the coaching staff and you go, okay, you got the players. The GM has set you up real good. What are you going to do?
Yeah, so my biggest thing is I just think it's a little too early to be calling for a firing of a Super Bowl winning coach, and then they're still leading the NFC East right now. Now, I do agree there's obviously some problems, and even during the in-game process, I've questioned a lot of the moves and strategy, I guess, that was going on in the game. But I just think it's a little early to be calling for firings. We still got a whole season left to play. So, maybe afterwards, if it's a one and done playoff or, they just collapse down the stretch, then I think that conversation might have some merit. But I think the bigger story out of this is that the Chicago Bears are for real, and legit. And I'm going to give credit where credit's due. You called this out way back in the summer. You were talking about the Bears. Now the Bears. The Bears are legit. They have been winning legit football games. And Caleb Williams, like I said, statistically didn't look great today, but he did look like the better quarterback today, not making a lot of big mistakes. Just taking what was given to him. It wasn't all that great. Wasn't a blowout Peyton Manning, Tom Brady-esque type QB, but he definitely is not making the big errors, and they are winning football games, and they definitely came into this game saying, hey, we're going to run this pill down their throat. And it obviously weighed heavy. Like you said, that's we were talking about how that's the biggest problem. And it is a big problem because later on in a game, you've been out there the whole time. I mean, I think you made the comment during the game in our text that they look like they're ready to quit. I mean, it's cold as hell. You're getting blasted all game. You're damn right they're ready to quit. I think the biggest thing, everyone likes to talk about the Eagles' problems. I think they can be fixed, and I think they'll be okay. I think the biggest story out of this game, though, is Chicago Bears are a legit football team, and definitely the league should take note, especially in the NFC. So, but a big win by them, and we'll see if Philly can fix their problems. They need to fix them quick because it's getting close to crunch time. So, there you go. All right, let's go to.
I do want to say real quick, what does MJ think of this? Because that's what'll tell you it. A true Eagles fan will tell you what they feel about the organization and their head coach.
Well, I didn't bring that up to her. She's been she was screaming a lot and not in the greatest of moods. So I just didn't even want to bring that conversation up to her. Any firings or anything like that. We just keep it moving. All right, let's talk about the Thanksgiving games real quick and some surprises here too. This wasn't a huge surprise. The Packers 31-24 over the Lions. The biggest surprise, though, we've had this conversation before. Jordan Love steps up in big games. This was a big game. 234 yards and 4 TDs, though, is really stepping up in this matchup. And the Lions D, they are definitely not looking like the Lions D of days of old. Josh Jacobs, 17 carries for 83 yards, and had a great day. Dontavian Wicks came out of nowhere, 94 yards, 2 TDs. Great game for him. Goff had an okay game, 256, 2 TDs. Jahmyr Gibbs, very pedestrian day for him, but Montgomery was the touchdown vulture in this one for him. And then, of course, with the injury with Amon St. Brown, Jameson Williams step up, and those who own and start him, boy, you're going to be loving this down the stretch. 7 receptions, 144 yards, and the touchdown on the board. So, all right, what are your thoughts on this one?
My thoughts are the Lions are not going to progress any further than they're at right now. That's what my thoughts are. This is another kind of like what the Eagles were saying. Like there's like a fundamental issue that they're not getting over. There's a plateau that they're at right now that they're not getting over. And Green Bay, on the other hand, Green Bay has always been very well coached. Love or hate Matt LaFleur, he has always made this team, a winner. And the only column that matters is the win and loss column. So, I think that, the defense stepped up after weeks of the defense kind of getting pelted. Like this defense has been so up and down, but they have always stepped up when they needed to step up. Micah Parsons, I believe, had 2.5 sacks in this game. Big game for him. That's what you signed him for. That's what you paid him big money to do, is go out there and get 2.5 sacks in these types of games. And, it's setting up for, I believe, the Packers and the Bears. I believe they have 2 games going down the stretch, if not one. I don't know if they've played yet. So it sets up for a photo finish in that NFC North. And it's going to be a fun one when these two lock up, because they're both driven by fundamentals. And you can see that the Bears defense is starting to get hot. The Packers defense is getting hot. And most importantly, the Packers offense is starting to find its way with Christian Watson back. They have hopefully that alpha in Watson. They have Dobbs, and they have Dontavian Wicks, who's a monster. And then, obviously, freaking, Brad in the house, boy.
Just missed us talking about
Kyle Manung guy.
Woo. I mean, hope you enjoyed your holiday, my friend. Glad to see you checking in with us tonight, Brad from the Unbearable Sports Podcast. If you're a Bears fan, make sure you go check out Brad and his great podcast. So Brad, you missed us talking about that, man. And, like I said, it was, Justin and I were talking about, of course, how bad the Eagles look, but then, the focus really should be that these Chicago Bears are for real, my friend. So congratulations to you. He says, Banana guy. I love it. All right, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead, man.
Oh, no, I was just ranting on. Listen, the bottom line is that the Packers have a lot of things going for them good right now. And they kind of just need to, they have the ability to rest on their laurels, which is Josh Jacobs in the run game. Or now they have the ability to start uncorking it downfield with Christian Watson. So it's really become, a wide open race as far as the NFC North goes. And like I said, I think the Lions have plateaued. I think the Lions will make it to the playoffs. But this is a team that kind of needs to shake it up, possibly more on the defensive end than the offensive end. Because as of right now, you need to go find yourself a Vic Fangio. You need somebody who's going to take this defense to the next level, make those big stops. At the end of the game, they had a chance to get another shot at it. And what do? You give up a big throw to Dontavian Wicks. Don't fucking give up that throw, man. Especially after you shut down Christian Watson with Brian Branch before. You don't give up that throw. But yeah, they need to figure out how to do defense in Detroit.
Brad says, yeah, and we got Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon back this week, plus TJ Edwards should hopefully be back next week. Things are starting to click for the Bears. Ooh-wee, to win this city. This is going to be exciting NFC North race. That is for sure. Like you said, it was spot on about their defense has been kind of up and down, but the step up in big moments, and they were stepped up big on Thanksgiving. We all expected the Lions offense to make this big bounce back. And they certainly did their best, but like I said, they shut down Jahmyr Gibbs, and I think that was the main thing. Of course, Amon getting hurt in that game didn't help things for their offense, but at the end of the day, the Packers D stepped up when it needed. And like I said, Jordan Love steps up, in those big games and the big moments. So that was pretty big. All right, let's get to the one that really made my Thanksgiving. And not that I'm a Cowboys fan, but 31-28 over those Chiefs. There's just nothing more delightful than watching Pat Mahomes cry after every time he gets hit. And then, of course, take the loss. 261, 4 TDs for him. Dak Prescott, 320 yards, 2 TDs, had the pick. CeeDee Lamb having the big day, 7 receptions, 111 yards, 112 yards with the touchdown. Rashee Rice on the other side, 8 receptions, 92 yards, and 2 TDs. Kelsey got 5 receptions, 45 yards, and a TD. Not much out of the running game, really, from either side. Kareem Hunt led the way with 17 carries. I'm sorry, I clicked over too quick. With 14 carries, and then Javonte Williams with 17 carries on the other side, but not much as far as fantasy production is concerned. But what were your thoughts on that one?
Well, Javonte did score the touchdown as a reception.
That's true.
My thoughts on that one were, same as you. I like to see the Chiefs get their ass kicked. And I like to see the Chiefs complain about penalties. Mm-hmm. Bro, we've been complaining about you guys not getting penalized and getting the right penalties for 5 years now. Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yep.
Karma comes around hard and fast. And if they don't make the playoffs, that is strictly their fault. That ain't the ref's fault. That is strictly their fault. So once again, another team that their defense failed down the stretch. And this defense is starting to just look old. It's starting to look like, obviously the heart and soul of it, Chris Jones, is getting really up there in age. He's starting to show it. He's a little sluggish out there. But most importantly, in the secondary has always been Spags' really his secret. Because he could always take somebody who is an undrafted guy and turn him into a $20 million man in 3 years. He's always been known to do that. He did that with Charvarius Ward. He did that with Duffy. He did that with L'Jarius Sneed. All these guys went through Spags, and all these guys ended up getting banked after being let go or moving on to a different team. What I saw last night, though, down the stretch, they got 2 very, very easy PI calls called against them. And it was strictly because the other team was just that more talented. I mean, George Pickens was all over Jalen Watson, and CeeDee Lamb had Trent McDuffie. I think at one point, I forgot who was calling it, they were like, that's the first time we've seen Trent McDuffie just get like bodied up and just get absolutely put into a blender. And, on the play, it was just, he literally looked like he was completely out of place. He didn't know what to do, and he just had to make the PI in order to stay in the play. And that's just something you don't see from what is usually a very disciplined defense. I think this team is caught in quicksand right now, and they really have never been here before. So they don't really know how to handle it. And, Pat Mahomes, credit to him, he's trying his hardest, man. I think we've never seen Pat Mahomes go for 4 touchdowns, 300 yards, and lose a game, is what I heard. And now we have, because last night, Dallas, they definitely deserved, earned, and, got that win. And rightfully so. George Pickens, he's going to earn himself a lot of freaking money next year.
I feel like this game kind of was in the same respect of the Bears-Eagles game where, there's a lot. So we're talking a lot about how the Eagles, they look bad, and now we're talking about the Chiefs looking bad. But let's go back again. The Cowboys are legit all of a sudden. Didn't start out well, wasn't healthy, made the trade made a few trades, got some pickups on the defense. Now they're starting to look a little bit legit in this playoff hunt. So, and where the Chiefs are starting to look like they're fading a little. Of course, you never put, you never put your faith not into Patrick Mahomes, because he does do amazing things. But at the same time, it is so great to watch them crumble. All right, last game.
Oh, God, did you see that pass that he made while he's falling down?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean.
Absolute dart while he was falling forward, and you go, geez, there's not a lot of people, period, that could have ever made that
cross body. It's just amazing. All right, let's finish things up. We do got Brian in with us now, so we're going to bring him in right after this. Let's talk about the Thursday night delight. The Bengals, and Joe Burrow is back 32-14 over the Ravens. Going back to this theme of teams that were just we're expecting to do well and not doing well. Lamar Jackson does not look like himself. To only 246 yards in the air. Derrick Henry did pop into the end zone, which it just was pedestrian, though. Only 10 carries against one of the worst defenses against running backs. It just didn't make any sense. Joe Burrow came out, though, 261, 2 TDs. It was looking a little pedestrian at first. They weren't finding that rhythm in the red zone, but man, they started clicking on at the end. Jamar Chase, 7 receptions, 110 yards. Chase Brown, not great on the ground with 15 carries, 78 yards, but still got 7 receptions. Didn't do much with them, though, for a PPR night. He definitely did well, 35 yards as well there. So what'd you think of the Bengals-Ravens game?
This was an awesome game if you're a Cincinnati Bengals fan, because you just got hope. You just got hope behind your sails. What's the old saying? Rising tides lift all boats. And damn, the Joe Burrow is a rising tide, because this Bengals defense went from, like you said, being absolute dog shit to forcing 3 fumbles, recovering all 3 of them, and then they picked off Lamar Jackson as well. Lamar has not looked like himself. I mean, against the Jets, we thought he was going to absolutely go bananas, and he did not even go close. He didn't even hit the banana tree. That's how bad he was. And then Derrick Henry, unfortunately, with Derrick Henry, what we're finding out, just like anybody else, you can bottle him up if you don't have the threat of the quarterback being good. And if you don't have the threat of the quarterback being good or running the ball. And Lamar has kind of been timid. You kind of think maybe the hamstring really is for real, because, if you're not running, dude, you're supposed to be opening up the offense. That's what makes you special. If we're talking about just being a pure quarterback, you're kind of just maybe top 15. But if we're talking about all your talents combined, you're up there, one of one elite with Josh Allen. You two are in that rare category. So it's one of those things where the Bengals played their ass off, and really Joe Burrow coming back has lifted their sails and has really got them looking good. and it works for everybody, right? Because Chase Brown looked good in that game. Jamar Chase looked like a monster. Your boy Yoshi Voss looked like a monster. He only caught one pass, but guess what? It was a touchdown, 29 yards. He came in there, looked like a monster. Everybody, some freaking tight end we've never heard of, we might never hear of again. Tanner Hudson, shout out. Look like a monster out there. Joe Burrow is just that guy, man. He's going to make everybody feel better. He's going to make everybody wear a suit and like wear their best suits too, not even their funeral suits. They're wearing their best suits. They're out there multicolored. They're going half and half like Mac Jones did. They're doing everything after this game. They're going clubbing because they've got new life. And for the Ravens, this has got to be frustrating because you're looking at your season going, what the fuck's going on now? We got the Steelers, and now we got to worry about the Bengals in a couple weeks again. It's going to be an interesting finish, too.
And if you were here at TSS, you picked up that Joe Burrow guy that people dropped and put him in your IR slot. So right now, you're thinking if you're in this playoff hunt or going into the playoffs, you're going to have a hot Joe Burrow because he already looks like he's ready to rumble. And you already know, we talked about this in the summer. Burrow's kind of like that Dak Prescott where, well, now the defense is a little bit better, but their defense isn't good. So there's always game script where Joe Burrow's going to be throwing that pill to get these Cincinnati Bengals in. And like I said, they were a little off in the red zone. I mean, he could have got a couple more TDs and had a really big night. So, look out for big things for Joe Burrow going forward. And the only other thing I'll say, just about everything you said, analysis was spot on. The only thing I'll say, though, is Derrick Henry's used to not having a quarterback. So I don't know if that's necessarily true that you can bottle him up. You can only bottle him up if you only give him the fucking ball 10 times. That's how you get bottle up Derrick Henry. There are times, of course, he has to keep getting the football, and of course he's got to get it. If you hit him in the backfield, you're good. If you don't, though, you better say good night. So you got to give him the ball more. This is the Ravens' problem when their offense struggled before. Give your big guy the ball, especially now. It's getting cold. This is a time you want to feed the running game. So hopefully they'll take a page out of what made them successful before and start giving this man the ball because it is Derrick Henry season.
How do you not get him more passes, too?
I know.
The pass he took for 44 fucking yards.
Right. And there was another time where I was watching the game and Lamar threw it to Zay Flowers really quick and Derrick Henry was wide open, and like Zay Flowers had two people. I'm like, what are you doing? You got Derrick. I mean, he had like one person that was like 6 yards in front of him, and that's exactly where you want him to get the ball. But we'll see. Like I said, hopefully they'll wake up a little bit. All right, we got Brian in. I won't make it wait too long. It's Thanksgiving weekend. Let's get it on. Talk about some injuries.
It's time to get your latest NFL injury updates with Brian from the Injured List podcast. The doctor is in.
What up?
The doctor is in. Welcome in, my friend. We appreciate you. Conservative Denker, Coop, friendly advice, ditch the string trap and grow a full beard with a stash. Thank you very much for your comment, friend. But just so you understand, even from high school, I don't give a fuck what you think, what I look like. If you don't like it, don't look, bitch. Anyway, Bri, welcome in, my friend. Talk about some injuries we got going on. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving, and I think you look great. You pull it off. You really pull it off. Let's get started at the QB position. Baker Mayfield, he is listed as going to play this weekend. They're saying that he's going to tough it out, which we kind of expected. And now they're making it official. They're saying they expect him to suit up. So he will be in there with that non-throwing shoulder AC joint. That will affect his running out of the pocket. He probably will be more conservative, sliding and getting out of bounds much quicker than he would normally. He's not going to want to take a hit on that shoulder just quite yet. You mentioned Lamar Jackson, and I will say there's been a lot of reports saying that he has not looked the same ever since he was dealing with that hamstring issue. He may not have fully recovered from that. That seems to be the thing that might be bothering him more than anything else, including this recent toe injury that popped up last week. But he did play. There were some scrambles where he actually looked fairly normal, and then there was a lot more where he did not look normal. So I don't think he's fully recovered from that hamstring. Either that or he still feels some twinges back there, and he's just being real extra cautious. Jackson Dart cleared concussion protocol. They're going to give him a go on Monday Night Football. I'm excited to see him back. Hopefully this won't result in another concussion. Aaron Rodgers is going to be out there with that left wrist protected. He will suit up and he will be playing. We actually thought that was going to happen last week, but they've made it official. He'll be out there this weekend. Jaden Daniels will have to wait another week to see if he's going to make it back. They officially said he's out this week, as is J.J. McCarthy with a concussion. Brosmer, the rookie, undrafted free agent, will get to start this week in his place. Well, curious to see how that goes. C.J. Stroud made it out of concussion protocol. He will be getting the start this weekend as well. Josh Jacobs, we saw he played, apparently re-aggravated that knee contusion that he had. I'm not sure if he finished a game healthy or not, but something to keep an eye on next week. Ashton Genty is apparently going to be good to go. He's going to carry a questionable tag probably, but it sounds like he was able to ramp up his activity in practice, and the ankle injury was not that bad, so it sounds like he's going to be good to go. We're supposed to see Bucky Irving this weekend. I'm still waiting to see. But they've said he's coming back. I'll believe it when I see it. Omarion Hampton, we will not see him just quite yet. They did open up his 21-day practice window, but they've said that he's not quite ready, and I think that's fair. Let's give him another week, and I think he'll be ready. Isaiah Pacheco did play last night with that MCL injury. He looks like he was back to normal. Trey Benson's still not quite ready yet. I think he's still not in that 21-day window, if I'm not mistaken. I forget what our last report on him was, but we'll follow up with that next week. He ain't playing this week. Alvin Kamara, MCL injury. Sounds like it's nothing serious, but I think they did say that he will not be playing this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's coming back just quite yet. Probably better safe than sorry there. Drake London apparently did get in some practice sessions later this week. Going to be carrying a questionable tag. They're saying they're optimistic, so they're not really putting a full stamp of approval on it just quite yet, so that could be a game-time decision. He was dealing with that PCL injury. We saw Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy play the other night. They made it back. Marvin Harrison still recovering from an appendix surgery. He has made it back to practice. Again, this is another guy where they're saying they're optimistic he's going to make a return, but I'm not so sure. He could be a game-time decision. He actually was on record and quoted as saying that he's still struggling. He still feels it in the abdomen from time to time doing certain movements. So he could potentially take another week. I was anticipating at least 2, but we'll see. He could be a game-time decision. Brian Thomas Jr. has officially been taken off the injury report. He will be making his return this weekend, as will DK Metcalf. We said all along that was probably nothing serious. Turns out it wasn't. Terry McLaurin is going to also be making his return this weekend. Surprise, surprise there. Hopefully he doesn't tweak that thing again. And then Dalton Kincaid and Darren Waller both carrying questionable tags. It sounds like Waller is probably more likely to play than Kincaid, even though they're both carrying questionable tags. Kincaid dealing with that hamstring. Got in a limited sessions this week, but like I always say with hamstrings, until you can go full, good luck. Could be a re-aggravation in the making there. They originally had said he was week to week last week, and then late this week, they basically put him out of practice and gave him a questionable tag. But it sounds like Darren Waller is in his 21-day practice window with that pec injury and actually will be playing, and I think that's realistic. So he probably has a better chance of those two tight ends to play than anybody else. And that's all I got for tonight. I'm sure I'll have some more updates on Sunday with some of these questionable players that we have on the list here. But a lot of games already happened. Like four games already, which is
4 games.
Yeah.
It's crazy. By the way, Conservative Decker want to know what you wrote. We really want to know about Darren Waller. Will he make another shitty breakup song?
He probably will once the season's over and he is able to recover completely from that pec injury. I think we'll see him hit up the studio and come out with something new.
100%. Everyone, go follow Bry. It's the Injured List podcast. Follow him everywhere on social media. Of course, you can find him right here on That Sports Podcast Network. A lot of great interviews he's done over the years. And then, of course, you can see him here on Friday night and wake up with us 8 a.m. every Sunday morning. Brian will be here to give you some last-minute fantasy advice for injuries. So, okay, Brian, we appreciate you, my brother. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving.
I did. Still enjoying it.
Yeah, me too. Just had some leftovers, 100%. All right, my friend, we're going to send you out with our friends from NeuroGuard Plus.
Dr. Michael Hutchison has harnessed the latest in neuromuscular dentistry and impact technology to develop a mouthguard that does more than protect. It enhances. NeuroGuard Plus isn't just a mouthguard. By focusing on the jaw's physiological position, it provides an added layer of neuroprotection, significantly reducing the risk of sports-related neurological injuries. All athletes should be using a custom mouthguard designed to their bite position. NeuroGuard Plus was created as a means to maintain your physiological jaw position regardless of your bite. The appliance is designed to optimize your upper-lower jaw relationship to improve your strength, your balance, your oxygen intake, and drastically lower your chance of a concussion. Independent studies have shown that the NeuroGuard Plus will provide you with improvement to both upper and lower body strength. The same improvements were not present with a common mouthguard. Over 6,500 athletes have used the NeuroGuard Plus. Dr. Hutchison is happy to say that the amount of diagnosed concussions is 0.2%. The NeuroGuard Plus offers athletes, coaches, and parents an advantage to keep their players safe on the field. If you or your child actively participates in athletics, they need to be protected from the dangers of repetitive head trauma. Get your NeuroGuard Plus mouthguard today. Click on the link and use code ILPSports for 10% discount on your purchase.
This conservative Denker guy is hilarious. I don't know if you've seen any of this, but he said earlier he wants to pay me and my brothers $30 to frame a barn for him. He looks at me, guy. Then he says, what did he say? Oh, when I was fucking choking on my tea, he said if I had a mustache, the sentence would just roll off my lips. There's an imbalance, no top lip coverage. Claudia. This guy's the best. All right, thank you, conservative. We appreciate you. All right, let's break the rest of these games on down.
It's time to get your lineup set with TSS Fantasy's Friday Night Breakdown.
Breakdown! Bring it on down! Breakdown!
Bring it on down. Bring it on down.
All right, let's get to it. Let's get to the game of the day. The New Orleans Saints come marching in to America's team, the Miami Dolphins. Saints against fantasy QBs are 15th, 14th against running backs, 13th against receivers, 16th against tight ends. The Dolphins, 26th against QBs, 23rd against running backs, 6th against receivers, and they're 29th against tight ends. What say you? Give me your starts and sits for the New Orleans Saints.
All right, Jedediah, let's get this thing going.
Here's my pitchfork.
Yeah, right. Man, it's a tough one. The Saints, I'm just going to say Devin Neal. I mean, he looked really good last week in relief of Alvin Kamara. You know, Olave is kind of up in the air with his status right now. He's questionable. If he plays, he seems like a very good matchup, but that's if he plays. Like, he hasn't had a good track history of just playing. And then Juwan Johnson could be a real long shot, but, I mean, if you're a competitive team right now, if you're looking to make the playoffs, you probably have a rock-solid tight end. You're probably pretty set there. But, you know, if you really need one and you're one of those fringe teams, Juwan Johnson is probably not a bad sell. As you said in the past, the Dolphins are not really good against those bigger receivers, and that's pretty much what he is, a giant receiver.
Yeah, 29th again in the league against tight ends. I mean, a great DFS play nonetheless, Juwan Johnson this week. On the Dolphins side.
You know what? I'm sorry. Can I throw one in there?
Yeah, go ahead. Wild
card, Taysom Hill scores a touchdown.
Yeah, I was going to comment, but I didn't want to take too long because it's already like 40 minutes into the damn show as our first bit. But I mean, when Neal came in, they actually ended up, I think Taysom Hill ended up out touching him as far as like running the football. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. And especially in the red zone, you're definitely going to see a few Taysom Hill attempts. So which definitely, like I said, we aren't good against bigger receivers, never have been. So it's very possible you see him sneaking in the end zone. On Miami side, it's pretty simple. It's Achane, it's Waddle. That's about all I trust going in there. And, Tua is one of those mid-range QBs that, if you need somebody this week, could be an okay play for you. But, you got to love Waddle. You got to love Achane. They've been doing it every week. I mean, there's just nothing else really on the Dolphins that I'm like, ooh, now Waddle was a little bit questionable going into it. So I had this whole thing ready for to talk about Malik Washington. But, if Waddle's in there, it's them two and nothing else, quite frankly. It's almost like when we talk about the Cardinals in the same respect. All right, let's get on to our next matchup. The Houston Texans visit the Indianapolis Colts. Houston against fantasy QBs, number 1, 11th against running backs, 4th to receivers, 6th against tight ends. On the Colts side, 13th against QBs, 13th against running backs, 25th against receivers, 27th against tight ends. Talk about those Houston Texans, guys you like and don't like.
Man, CJ Stroud is back, which means our Davis Mills train of everybody getting peppered is done. And that means that Nico Collins is the only viable wide receiver. And Woody Marks, I think that the Colts might have to be playing a lot of defense this week. So I'll put Woody Marks, I'll put Nico Collins in there, and then I'll call it a wrap. Don't put CJ Stroud in there. He ain't going to do you any good.
After what I saw this Texans defense do to the Bills offense, other than Jonathan Taylor, I'd be afraid to start anyone, really. The Texans are legit defensively. You got Daniel Jones playing on a fractured fibula. I saw a couple of clips of him in practice. I mean, he's hobbling around. I mean, look what they did to Josh Allen, a full healthy Josh Allen. I'm just not trusting anything with this game, and especially the Colts offense. You gonna start Jonathan Taylor. He's what got you here. But, other than that, I don't like Pittman. There's nobody on the offense. Maybe Tyler Warren, I guess. I don't really know, though. I wouldn't trust anything, quite frankly. Jonathan Taylor or bust on the Colts side, because this Texans D is legit. All right, let's get to the game that no one cares about. The Falcons at the Jets. Falcons against fantasy QBs are 11th, 29th against running backs, 17th against receivers, 3rd against tight ends. Jet side, 21st against QBs, 20th against running backs, 11th against receivers, and 14th against tight ends. What say you about those Dirty Birds?
Dirty Birds, Bijan Robinson, locked and loaded and ready to go. And then everything else, don't lock and load and ready to go, because it ain't going to work. Some people in deeper leagues will say Tyler Algier. I'll say that's fine because he's been stealing touchdowns all year long. Kyle Pitts is dead to me. I don't want any part of that. I don't believe in Kyle Pitts. And Darnell Mooney, you have to have a quarterback to get it to you. And Kirk Cousins could do it against the Saints, but I'll tell you what, buddy. Somehow the Jets are probably a next tier up from the Saints, at least on defense. So I'm not going to be trusting Kirk Cousins today or on Sunday.
On the home front for me on this one, this is very easy. It is Breece Hall or bust for me, really. I mean, that's pretty much the only target out of this Jets offense that I'd have some faith in. We've seen John Mechie step up in this offense a little bit, but it's not. It doesn't look good. And the Falcons D is odd because there are some games where they just look like they are for real legit. And in other games, they just look like trash. I mean, they definitely can be run on. So that's why I'm putting my faith in Breece Hall. But, this is Jets offense. So if you're starting anybody in the offense, good luck to you. The only thing I can say is Breece Hall might get you some decent fantasy points, but that's about it in this disgusting matchup. All right, let's go to the 49ers at the Browns. Niners against fantasy QBs are 22nd, 17th against running backs, 26th against receivers, 20th against tight ends. The Browns, they're 3rd against QBs, 8th against running backs, 7th against receivers, 15th against tight ends. All right, what say you on the 49ers side?
This game gives me anxiety. Jim Schwartz has an amazing record against Kyle Shanahan, and I think the biggest issue is going to be that offensive line is not going to be able to stop Myles Garrett at all. So Man, if I told you to not start Christian McCaffrey, you'd say I'm fucking crazy. And I agree with you. It's a little bit of a fucking crazy move, but I'll tell you what, I just don't see it happening in this game. I see him in PPR being worth it because he's going to get targeted like 25 fucking times. But as a running back, he is not going to be getting much on the ground. As far as I don't want Brock Purdy, the defense is going to be picking him off all day long. I can already see that one coming a mile away. And then if I want any receiver in this game, I think it would probably have to be Jawan Jennings. I think you want the slot receiver in this game. You don't want the guy going against Denzel.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough matchup for the Niners. Offensively, this is kind of like one of those. Do I believe in Shedeur Sanders yet? We'll see. This is kind of a crapshoot, quite frankly. I mean, Jerry Jeudy could see a little bit of time here, I guess. Niners secondary, not all that great this season. You could see a little bit of Harold Fannin Jr. in this one as well. But, again, we're at that point of the season where, if you're pretty locked in at this point, you probably have a better tight end to throw in there. He could be serviceable for you in this game. Maybe a little, I think you're definitely, Quinshon Judkins, definitely more in the flex category to running back 2. Everybody else, I don't know what to tell you, bro. I don't think you got this far by starting any of these Browns offensive players anyway, other than Quinshon Judkins. Yeah, man, this has been easy for me tonight, I got to tell you. All right, let's get to the next one. The Rams at the Carolina Panthers. Rams against fantasy QBs are 5th, 3rd against running back, 16th against receivers, 19th against tight ends. Carolina, they are 8th against QBs, 26th against running backs, 3rd against receivers, and 23rd against tight ends. So what say you on those LA Rams?
I would just say start everybody. All the way to the bottom, man. Start the quarterback to the defense. Because we saw the 49ers had a bad week last week. 3 interceptions, and they still pretty much own the game script against Carolina.
Yep.
I would think that that's going to be doubled, if not tripled, with Matthew Stafford bringing his touchdown to interception streak going in here, where he's had some outrageous number, like 27 touchdowns without an interception. So I'm doubling down on this. I don't like them, but if you've got them, you've gotten pretty far. So put all your Rams in.
Rico Dowdle to me is more on the flex because they're playing the Rams. He's more of a flex play this week for me. I wouldn't invest anything in a Bryce Young. Still not quite there for me. Maybe a little Tet, maybe. I don't know. Possibly. Other than that, ugh. All right, next game.
That's your solid 10 points a game. That
right.
Guy right there. If you're looking for that guaranteed flex that's gonna get you 10 to 15, Tet's gonna do it, but he ain't gonna wow you week to week.
Right. Not a lot here. Man, I'm dialing up because wait till this next one I got too. All right, let's go to the next one. The Jags at the Titans. Jags against fantasy QBs are 27th, 7th against running backs, 20th against receivers, 31st against tight ends. Tennessee, 20th against QBs, 25th against running backs, 29th against receivers. They're 8th against tight ends. All right, what say you about the Jags?
Man, I'm going to go with this one. I'm just going to make this easy. Travis Etienne, base all tootin' in a pinch, base all tootin', because I think it could be game script. Could be real nice for him. And Parker Washington. I don't want any part of Ryan Thomas. If you're a playoff team, you shouldn't want any part of him right now either. You should have this be, if he goes off, be okay with him going off on your bench, because if he's does not go off on your starting lineup, you might throw your phone into a pond or a wall, or your wife or your dog or your cat, because you're going to be real fucking angry.
Yeah, the risk doesn't outweigh the reward, I don't think, with Brian Thomas Jr. That way this year is gone for them. As far as Tennessee goes, the Jags run D is really legit, so I'm definitely not going Pollard or Spears. Maybe DK in this matchup Jags secondary is a little bit to be had, I guess. But, I'm not putting a ton of faith in Cam Ward. But I think probably DK probably be more in my flex spot this week, or wide receiver, maybe low end 2 possibly could get to that mark, but there's nothing on the running game that I like. So yeah, that's it, man. I don't got much analysis for anybody tonight. Like I wasn't even paying attention. Cardinals at the Bucks. All right, I got some fancy guys here. Cardinals against QBs are 9th, 24th against running backs, 15th against receivers, 25th against tight ends. The Bucks, 28th against QBs, 22nd against running backs, 23rd against receivers. They're 11th against tight ends. All right, what say you on those Arizona Cardinals? Oh, I lost. You're paying attention. You're not even there. I'll talk about the Bucks real quick while Justin's getting back on. Tampa Bay, really, quite frankly, with Baker Mayfield's injury, I don't think, as Brian alluded to earlier, you won't see him making a lot of runs, not a lot of stuff on the ground, but I still see a potential in this game for some good fantasy points on both sides. So I could see Baker throwing that pill a little bit. He mentioned Bucky Irving coming in, but from what I read, they are going to kind of wean him in, kind of like they did with Chris Godwin when he came back. So I wouldn't expect a ton out of Bucky Irving. He'd be more maybe in a flex spot for me, and I'd put like Sean Tucker right there with him. I think they're both maybe like flex-worthy spots this week, especially if they're just not going to give him the ball as much. Gotta love, of course, always go with Ibuka. There's just nothing better than a Baker Mayfield to Ibuka shootout. Maybe a little bit of more Chris Godwin this week. I think you'll see him maybe step up a little bit more if he can give it a go this week. So I like the Bucs offense in this matchup. I think, like I said, some good potential points on each side. What do you think of the Cardinals this week, Justin?
Yeah, so I'm big on Jacoby Brissett. He's been literally 20 points every single game that he's been in since Kyler's been gone. I don't trust their run game, even though this should be a really good game for a running attack, but there's no one to trust there. You trust Michael Carter, Bam Knight, Amari DeMarcado. Nobody knows who's going to be the guy there, so it's better just to not have any of them. And then Michael Wilson's been an absolute monster. I don't think bringing back Marvin Harrison is going to change that, even though I know he's questionable because he had the appendicitis. So I think he had surgery this week, if I'm correct. So he
had it a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Oh, he did a couple weeks ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's what
he's still recovering from it. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. So, he's definitely probably going to be back if he's been a couple weeks out for appendicitis. So I don't expect Michael Wilson to take a hit. I think that he'll still be a dominant type of receiver. And then Trey McBride's money. He prints money. He's just so damn good.
Yeah, I think Michael Wilson, he was more in that wide receiver 1 range. If Harrison comes back, he'd be more. I'm still, like you said, I'm still loving it. I'm still going maybe wide receiver 2, even a flex play, but he's definitely needs to be in your lineup. Even the coaches mentioned that they're going to keep feeding him even if Marvin Harrison comes back because he's earned it. So, and good on him. So, yeah, I think he definitely deserves a spot in your lineup this week. All right, well, we're going to the 4 o'clock games. Before we do, let's take a little trip into the MEG Zone.
Yeah! Yeah, baby, I'm in some MEG Zone today. Security.
Hi guys, welcome back to the MEG Zone, my exclusive club where only the best fantasy football players make it in the door each week. Everyone else gets stopped before they make it to the front of the queue. So jumping into my stoppages this week, first up we have Breece Hall, running back over the New York Jets. I would be avoiding him like the plague this week. That Atlanta defense is solid. It was proven last weekend that we have the ability to make stoppages left and right. I will not be risking any player on the Jets team in my fantasy squad this week. Next up, we have Cooper Kupp over the Seattle Seahawks. Risky. Since the Rashid Shaheed trade, he has not been on top form. His targets are down. He's not been getting targeted as many times. He's not been putting the points on the board. I would be avoiding him where possible. Finally, we have Brock Purdy.
Security.
Now, they are facing a Browns team with another great defence. Brock Purdy did nothing last weekend. His defence won the game. And I would be saying far, far too risky. If you would like more hints, tips, tricks and advice on fantasy football, follow me at Ballers_Meg across all the social media platforms and check us out live on a Sunday, TSS Fantasy. Wake up to football at early morning your time, 1 p.m. UK time. I hope everyone had the best Thanksgiving and I will see you next week for more Meg Zone.
Security.
So one thing I took out of that was, if you don't recall, Meg picked against the Falcons last week. So I think she was trying to make up for that by talking about how solid their defense is. And then, if you haven't been with us all season, Meg hates Cooper Kupp. I think he hasn't been in this Meg Zone segment at least 4 or 5 times. So she is definitely not a fan of Cooper Kupp. I don't think really.
I was going to say, Cooper Kupp is banned from the Meg Zone, period. Like, she just put his picture up there and said, do not let this white guy through here.
Meg, you don't even need to say it no more. We already know he's not in the Meg Zone this week. All right, let's
free zone.
Let's get to a couple of final decent matchups. The Vikings at the Seahawks. The Vikings against fantasy QBs are 10th, 12th against running backs. They're number 1 against receivers. They're 21st, though, against tight ends. On the Seattle side, 19th against QBs, 10th against running backs, 12th against receivers, and they're 30th against tight ends. So what say you on those Minnesota Vikings?
Oh, man. This is such a tough game. So, listen. Bear with me, Coop. I've actually done some research on this Brosmer kid because I was genuinely interested, and it's probably no more research than you've done yourself. But this guy seems like he's just an underdog story. Everybody who talks about him, all the video I've seen on him, he looks to have all the right type of stuff that you want for Kevin O'Connell, Sean McVay type of offense. You know, he has anticipation, he has timing, he can process reads pretty fast, and you know that's pretty much all you need. You just need to get it to the guy that it's schemed open for, right? That being said, he's an undrafted free agent for a reason. I don't know if I want to trust him, but Cam Ward had a good game last week against the Seattle defense. I mean, he was running the ball real well. He was throwing it everywhere. And this Minnesota team has more than that Tennessee team has to play with. They got 3 wide receivers. They've got 2 good running backs, and they've got a not over the hill yet tight end. I think I'm okay with Justin Jefferson this week. And work with me. I think that he's going to get fed the ball quite a bit. And I think this Brosmer kid is going to have so little tape on him that I think he's going to start to pull through this defense. He's going to start to figure out the little nuances of this defense pretty quickly. And they're going to have to adjust throughout the game. You know, kind of like how a surprise works, right? You get hit with a surprise. You don't know what to do. You're like, oh, shit, this kid's throwing it real fast. I think Justin Jefferson's going to be a very solid play. Now, being said, I don't know if I would go Jordan Addison. I might go with TJ Hawkinson because he's going to be that middle threat. And then Aaron Jones, PPR, that's tempting. That's real tempting. Outside of that, I think I'm going to hold off on the Vikings, the rest of the Vikings. I'm not Addison, not Naylor. Mason, they have a pretty solid up front against that type of a running back. But something about this Brosmer kid, man, I think it might work out. At the very least, I think it's going to be interesting for J.J. McCarthy to come back.
So I could see, I mean, it was a very good case. I could see this being the case if McCarthy got hurt in game and then this kid came out. I think the guys that get paid millions of dollars are going to find a lot of tape on this guy. I think Seattle's defense is going to smash this offense. So that's my smash star of the week is Seattle's D. Let's not forget, too, by the way, this is a Sam Darnold revenge game, and I think the Vikings did him really dirty. I feel like, listen, J.J. McCarthy is not it. It doesn't look it at all. Sam Darnold played really good football with the Vikings. So this is his revenge game, and I think he's going to ball out against the Vikings. I like Kenneth Walker this week. Zach Charbonnet, of course, is going to find that flex range. So they're both more flex range. Kenneth Walker can't ever seem to find the end zone. Zach Charbonnet finds it for him. So they're both in the flex range. You're smash starting JSN every week, so I don't need to tell you anything crazy there. Could this be the Rashid Shaheed week? This could be the week. They are number one against receivers, though, so it's going to be a tough go. AJ Barn, this is back to the earlier conversation. There's other guys that you've gotten to this point that, you're not throwing AJ Barner in there unless you need to, but he's not going to be a bad play, I don't think, this week, because I think Sam Darnold's going to really tee off this week. And I think that's why I think it's going to put Minnesota in a position where game script's going to dictate. They're going to have to throw this football, put it in the air, and that's when the Seattle Defs is going to jump all over it, just in my opinion. All right, let's go to the next one. Buffalo at the Steelers. Buffalo against fantasy QBs are 7th, 30th against running backs, 14th against receivers. They are number 1 against tight ends. Pittsburgh Steelers, 25th against QBs, 6th against running backs. They are dead last against receivers, 27th against tight ends. What do you think about those Buffalo Bills?
So, when you were saying flex, I was thinking to myself, man, we need to get Bandy back here because I'm missing my flex starts of the week.
Flex starts of the week. I hear you.
But you know what? This is a game full of flex starts of the week, man. You got to put in Josh Allen because he's going to be looking to get his game right back out there. And I feel like with the way that the AFC North fell this week, I feel like it's just appropriate that the Steelers fall just to make it look like it's going to be a more epic finish to the end of the season, to the title. But I look at the Bills. I know you said they were 6th against the run. I'm still bringing James Cook out there. He's too damn good to not play. He's just automatic at this point. As far as wide receivers go, I think I'm okay passing on just about every one of them. Some people, you're desperate, you put Khalil Shakir in there and you try and figure that out. But I don't want Parter Shavers. I don't know if Keon Coleman is still firmly in the doghouse. Even if he was playing, I don't think I'd play him. And then my last one is Dalton Kincaid. I think Dalton Kincaid's going to have himself a good game. If he plays. I think he's still questionable.
I think Allen and Shakir are starting to get on the same page. I've been seeing it a little bit more and more each week, so I actually like him a lot in this matchup. Steelers, and again, this goes on game script. They can obviously, the Bills can be run on, so it really depends on how this game starts to take off. Do the Pittsburgh Steelers control the ground and kind of do, basically kind of do what the Bears did today, where they're running the ball on the Bills, getting their offense off the field, thusly making their defense a little wobbly down the stretch. That's really going to dictate this game. So you're going to start. I like Jaylen Warren here in this matchup. Not a big Jaylen Warren guy, but I think this is a game where he can definitely eat in. And Aaron Rodgers, I do think BK is more in that flex range. I wouldn't be sad putting him in my lineup this week because it goes back to, again, I don't think the game script's going to go that way because I think Buffalo's really going to come out and go full out on this game. But I thought that last week too, and it didn't really seem to happen very much. So we'll see. But I do think Aaron Rodgers is an okay play, and DK will be okay as well. But when I say okay, that means Aaron Rodgers is not something I'm starting over. He's a little bit over Tua, I guess I would say, in this particular week, like more in that mid-range. If you got somebody hurt or just somebody you're just not sure about them starting, that's kind of when I'd put Rodgers in. Other than that, that's really about it, quite frankly, on the Steelers side. Like I said, I like Buffalo a lot in this matchup, so that's probably what's affecting my fantasy analysis on this game. But again, it's going to depend on this game script, and can the Pittsburgh Steelers control the front line and run the football on the Bills? That's really, I think, going to help them a lot in this matchup, keep Josh Allen off the field. But we'll see how it goes. All right, Raiders at the Chargers. Raiders against fantasy QBs, 16th, 18th against running backs, 28th at receivers, 4th against tight ends. Chargers, 4th against QBs, 15th against running backs, 5th against receivers, and 5th against tight ends. What say you about those Raiders?
Oh, man. It's so hard to hear Chip Kelly is out of a job because, man, couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. You know what I'm saying? But did you hear the reports that he was botching? Like, he was stuttering when he was, like, giving these plays out, and he wasn't telling them the right plays. He wasn't telling the motions.
No, I did not.
I don't know if it's going to affect anything, but usually when you get a guy like that out of there, the offense seems to work a little bit better. So I'm going to assume this means that Brock Bowers is going to get going, and hopefully we see a little Ashton Genty as well. I'm damn near only playing those guys because everybody else, big mystery. And I don't need mysteries going into the playoffs. I need sure fucking things.
Well, I'll give you a sure thing, Justin Herbert this week. I think he's a sure thing against this putrid Raiders defense. As far as the receivers go, obviously Ladd McConkey is like their number one guy, but it would not surprise me at all if Keenan Allen had a good day or you see Quentin Johnson with a couple TDs. It would not surprise me. So I think all of them are at least worth a spot in your lineup. Keenan and Quentin more in the flex range, where I feel like, Ladd is more receiver 2, could be definitely potential for a big receiver 1 week as well. And you got to love Arondé Gatson. I know Vegas has been good against tight ends, but, he's so incorporated in this offense, sees so many targets. You got to put him in there. Kamani Vidal, he's been kind of, he's been helter-skelter, if you will. But, again, this defense for the Raiders, not all that great. Wouldn't surprise me to see him find the end zone. So he's in a low-end RB2 to flex range for me in this particular matchup. So that's what I like in that one. Pretty much everything, and love Chargers D too. Go ahead and throw that in there also. But you are right, though. Once you get rid of those coaches, there's usually like that one game, that next game, where there's a little bit of something, a little juice there. So
a little positivity in the air.
Yeah, you could be right. You could see a little bit of Raider offense.
Not saying you're going to win the game. Just saying Hours returns a little value for you this week.
Right. Instead of 42-0, it could be like 42-14, I think is kind of what's it. All right, let's go. The Sunday night delight. The Broncos go to the Commanders. Broncos against fantasy QBs are number 2, 4th against running backs, number 2 against receivers, or 13th against tight ends. Commanders, 29th against QBs, 28th against running backs, 30th against receivers, 22nd against tight ends. Ugh. What do you say about those Denver Broncos?
Oh, I love a smash start on Bo Nix and RJ Harvey. I think this is going to be a little bit of an RJ Harvey coming out party. He's obviously the guy now. They mixed in Jaleel McLaughlin to steal his touchdown last game out, but I think that, Sean Payton with a bye week is going to figure out how he's going to incorporate Harvey into his rest of season plans. And what better way to do it than against a weak team? And that a weak team that's not going to be scoring a lot because their main weapon, their quarterback, is out, and they have to take on a top 2 defense. So I think this is an outstanding smash play for Harvey and Nix. You could throw Sutton in there. He's going to probably be a PPR monster. Long shot would be Troy Franklin because I could see Nix trying to get something going downfield. But he's my long shot flex, and Evan Ingram still has not proven to me he's reliable, so I would say pass on him.
Yeah, definitely. On the Commander side, by the way, in my home league, I have Bo Nix in my starting lineup, but I started him over Joe Burrow, and then I figured Caleb was going to struggle today. So, but the Joe Burrow thing had me a little nervous. I was like, man, like should I have started him? But I'm hoping Bo Nix I felt had a little more potential for a higher ceiling because of the defensive matchup. So that's kind of why I went there. So I'm hoping that he does that. So on the Commander side, I think Pat Surtain is back this week. So, I should have asked Doc about that. That was somebody I meant to bring up. This whole talk with Terry McLaurin coming back, I'm like, so Terry McLaurin wasn't much when he was in the lineup healthy. So I don't think that's really much of anything. Deebo Samuel. Man, this is just a tough matchup. I know Deebo looked okay against the Dolphins, and Deebo's Deebo. He's off helter. He's a bit helter skelter himself. But I think out of any of the pass catchers, I would probably look to him. I guess maybe a flex spot, but I wouldn't feel good about it. Chris Rodriguez, I know he's taken over this running back situation, but you're going against the Denver Broncos. I mean, I could maybe see some kind of sneaky little touchdown for him if they can get the ball close enough. But I have no faith in any of this offense right now. Not with Jaden Daniels not in and against this defense. It doesn't look good for the Commanders on Sunday night. So let's go to the final Monday night game. The Giants at the Patriots. Giants against fantasy QBs are 31st. They're 31st against running backs as well. 27th against receivers, 10th against tight ends. New England, 14th against QBs, 2nd against running backs, 19th against receivers, 24th against tight ends. So talk about the New York Giants. Jackson Dart being back.
Yeah, I like that. I like Jackson Dart coming back. Hopefully he keeps his head on a swivel and he starts sliding. Dude, go to a baseball camp. Learn how to slide a little bit, my friend, because your brain is a very powerful thing. And if you rock it too many times, you're going to waste it, son. You're going to waste it. You're going to waste your career, too, because you haven't even made the millions yet. But as far as like the running backs, I like Tracy in this game. He seems to have picked up a lot more on the carries, and he's always been a wide receiver threat because he was a wide receiver in college. And then, Big Theo Johnson is the guy I'm really looking at because Wandale, I don't know if he's going to get guarded. It's either going to be Wandale or Slayton. I have a feeling it's probably going to be Slayton's going to be guarded by Christian Gonzalez. So I'll go Wandale as the better wide receiver option. But I think the overall best wide receiver option or receiving option period is going to be Theo Johnson, the tight end. Him and Jackson Dart have already established a great connection. And, at the end of the day, somebody's got to get open for this team. This team is obviously very explosive. They showed it last week. So I'm thinking it's going to be a good week for the tight end. And then, I'll turn it over to you because the Patriots are a lot of fun.
Yeah, this is. I think this game actually has if you're looking for those Monday night miracles, this could be the game to throw your guys in because you could see some good potential back and forth in this one. Drake May, love it against this defense. He's one of my top guys this week, so love Drake May in this matchup. Love Travion. I don't give a damn about Ramondre Stevens or whoever the hell else he got thrown out there. Travion has that big playability. So he's definitely the guy I'm definitely excited for in this one. Again, 31st against QBs, 31st against running backs. Hello. As far as the receivers go, that to me, I love Diggs here. But everything else, I mean, it's just kind of been a crapshoot, really. Butte coming back, that could be, some potential for a big play here or there. It's Demario Douglas. I mean, he's got a lot of guys that I don't know if it's Drake May making him look good, or whatever it may be, but Diggs would be the guy, I think, out of all of them that I would, a wide receiver 2 type play, could potential receiver 1, but he mixes that ball up so much. There's a lot of potential for a lot of guys in that receiving core. But to me, I think Diggs would be the guy I'd be confident with. And maybe if Booty's in, he'd be more of a flex start for me. And Hunter Henry, I saw he was a little banged up, but if he's good to go, you got to love the Hunter, man. He's just been doing it still at this age. So he's been consistent. So he's be somebody I would definitely put in, wouldn't be mad about it if he's in my tight end slot. So again, a lot of points, I think, that go around in this particular game. So if you're looking for that Monday night miracle, don't be shy about throwing those Patriots and Giants in there. I think this could be a good fantasy output for sure. All right, well, we're going to close things out. But before we do, our boy Andrew LeDuc came in. He wanted to give you some sophisticated starts of the week. Let's check it out.
It's time to bring some sophistication to your fantasy lineups with Mr. Mallard.
Welcome to Sophistication Station, and I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. As you can see, the dinner is still fresh behind me. But let's talk about the classy starts this week that'll make your holidays bright and shiny as we head into the Christmas season coming up next. Let's start with Jacoby Brissett. Yes,
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Jacoby Brissett has been a top 3 fantasy quarterback for weeks now. He's going to continue with a pretty good matchup going forward. He's going to continue that hot hand with Trey McBride and Michael Wilson. But I like Brissett this week to continue the dominance that he has had. Let's go also to Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey's coming off the bye. He's got a good matchup. I think the Chargers are going to finally fine-tune some things, figure some things out. Ladd McConkey is still a big weapon for them, a number 1 weapon for them. And as we saw last year, he strives at the end of the season. So give me Ladd McConkey this week to kick off that second half of the season return that you were hoping for when you drafted him early. And then let's also get to Travis Etienne in a great matchup against the Titans. Travis Etienne should eat. The Jaguars should be up. Etienne should have a ton of carries, garbage time, whatever. He should be a big part of the offense and a part of the killing the clock. So I like Travis Etienne this week as well in a very favorable matchup. But as always, check in here every single week with me, Andrew LeDuc, aka Mr. Mallard, of the host of the Divots and Pivots show for Sophistication Station. Let's get through those again. It's Jacoby Brissett, it's Ladd McConkey, it's Travis Etienne. Stay classy, my friends.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
Now go win your fantasy matchup with class.
Go win it with class indeed. Wake up with us at 8 a.m. this Sunday. We're going to get you ready for your fantasy day and football day. We'll give you some betting advice, fantasy advice. We got Fantasy Jesus to bless your lineups, and we even got a Sunday morning cartoon. Hope everyone enjoyed their holiday, and we appreciate you. As Justin said earlier, we are thankful for you all and appreciate all of you for joining us. We'll see you Sunday morning, and we are out.